good, soon to be afternoon! Exclamation point. Do you have dictation turned on your Mac? Question mark. Well, hi there. I was just typing a little answer to Chris, but since we're live here on Go for Lunch, I'll just answer the question. Yes, this is a 29-inch monitor. So from here to here is 29 inches. It is a Samsung, and I really like it. So that answers your question. So thank you for joining us. Barbara, hi there, and Phil and Phyllis are with us. Thank you very much. And I don't know if you noticed there, but I dictated something into the comments And that's a built-in feature in your Mac. If you don't have that turned on, let me know. Maybe we should do a GoFor Tech Bulletin on that, if you'd like. Good afternoon, Diana. Happy lunch to you. So let's get going here. What do you say? So before you Zoom, this is not today's topic, but this happened to me this morning, so I thought I would bring it up. So I was watching a Zoom meeting this morning, and I was having dropouts where the audio would drop out and the video would freeze. And then I even got a nice little message from Zoom itself saying that my internet connection was intermittent or something like that. So I checked my download speed by running speedtest.net, and I found that my download speed was 0.97. So the way you test your download speed is go to speedtest.net. That's the speed test that I usually use. There are others. And then when you find out, like I did this morning, that my download speed was 0.98 instead of 170 something, I called my internet service provider. And when you get into their voice automation system, it'll give you a choice to reset your modem. So that's what I did. And it changed from 0.9 something to 170 something. So anytime you're going to be on a Zoom meeting, and especially if you're going to share your screen or present in any way, you want to make sure that you've got good internet speed. And there was no reason why my internet speed should have been that terrible, but it was. Fortunately, I got a warning. But before I start Go for Lunch, I do check my speed. I do restart my computer, and then I check my speed again. So just a little tip, if it's critical for you to do something during a Zoom meeting, make sure you've got the bandwidth, also known as internet speed, to make your Zoom work for you. So it's National Eat What You Want Day. Aren't you glad? So this is the National Eat What You Want Day edition of Go for Lunch. So I was pretty excited to find that out. I don't know what on that picture I'm going to eat, if not everything, but probably not. My stomach doesn't digest like it used to. I don't know about yours. So today we're going to talk about, are you being tracked? So let's see who else is here before we get started. Susan would like to know more about dictation. Okay, Susan. And Helen. Hi, Helen. Glad you could make it. So we will be checking for your comments during the program. So don't feel neglected if I don't get to you right away, because I can't see the comments while we're watching the keynote. So, welcome. This is GoFor Technology, and I am Roger Harmon. And we make your technology work for you. So, we do Go for Lunch every Tuesday at high noon. And that's because we want to help you understand more about your Apple-related technology and other types of technology. And then, to let you know it's coming up, to give you a little reminder, we send out the GoFor Gazette every Monday morning at 7 a.m. And that not only tells you and gives you the link for the following Tuesday's Go for Lunch, but it also gives you the links for our previous programs and other resources. So make sure you take advantage of those resources. There's a whole library, 52 different episodes sitting there waiting for you to review. So today we're talking about, are you being tracked and who is tracking you, why you're being tracked, how you're being tracked and what you can do to stop being tracked. Now, all this kind of came about in a big way because Apple implemented some heightened privacy situations in iOS 14.5. So that's why we're talking about this today. So there's 3 privacy categories in Apple's privacy system. There's data used to track you, there's data linked to you, and then there's data that's not linked to you that the company generally aggregates into larger statistics. So those are the 3 big ones, but there's a lot of little subcategories. So if you want to know more about that, I put a link in the notes down below, and this is the link right here. So you can see this is Apple's website. Let's get up to the top here. So this is actually for developers, but you can look at it too. And so this is talking about apps, data collection, and your privacy questions. So if you want to, dive deeper into this, then you can click on the link after our presentation, and you can see all of that information. So that's what that's all about. So who's tracking you? Well, let's look at some sample types of apps that are tracking you. So weather apps. You might think that weather apps are innocent little apps just trying to give you information, but in fact, they are taking information from you in many cases. So this is from a Wirecutter study. So they looked at the top 20 apps in different categories. And of the top 20 weather apps, 17 gathered data that track your device so that they could target advertising to you. 14 used location data. So they tracked where your iPhone was. And location data is very valuable to data brokers. In 2019, the sales of location targeted advertising generated 21 billion with a B, billion, I don't know how to do a B, dollars in revenue. So it's a big deal. 21 billion is a big deal. So that's why this information is so valuable and why these big tech companies are trying to get it from you any way they can. So, shopping apps. Anybody do online shopping? I bet you do. So, out of the 20 that were analyzed, 17 of the top shopping apps. Now, these are just not any old shopping apps, but these are the ones that you're most likely to use, shared your tracking data. Health and fitness apps. Well, 13 out of 20 gathered data to track you. House or apartment hunting apps. 12 out of 13 use data for tracking you. Then we have news apps. Now, they only analyzed 13 news apps, but of those 13, they all tracked you when you went to their app. So we're talking CBS, BBC, CNN, all these apps that you may use for news. Oh, looks like I put this one in twice. So we'll just get through it. Well, while we're doing that, let's see if we have any comments. So Judy's here. And Stanley wants to know, we're going to answer that question, Stanley. We're going to show you exactly how to set up your tracking preferences in iOS 14.5.1. So, here we have a very complex infographic that kind of gives you an idea of how many companies and how they are linked to one another to both gather and distribute and sell your personal data. So this is obviously too small for you to read, but I think you can see. So the data starts here on the left from the marketers and goes out to publishers who are using that data to track you, the people. So it is a complex and multi-billion-dollar business with a lot of companies involved sharing your information. So as we say, if something is free, let me start that again. If something's free on the internet, you are the product. So this pretty much shows you how you are the product. What can you do about this? Well, there's lots of things you can do. Needless to say, the cow has left the barn. The cat's out of the bag. So a lot of your data is already out there. But you can keep it from being amplified by following some easy steps. So here's the answer to Stanley's question. When you go into iOS 14.5.1, then you're going to get a pop-up that looks a lot like this. So it says, allow app to track your activity across other companies' apps and websites. Your data will be used to measure advertising efficiency. Isn't that wonderful? Don't you want to have efficient advertising? So then your choices are ask the app not to track, or if you want to be tracked, you can click on allow. So each app that does track you according to Apple's app tracking criteria is supposed to ask you if you want to be tracked or not, allow or not. So let's look at our iPhone and see exactly how that works. So we're going to go to the iPhone and we're going to go to the iPhone. I guess we're going to go to the iPhone this way. There we are. So here we are on your iPhone home screen. You're going to tap on settings. And again, this little reminder to search on an iPhone, you just put your finger in the center, even though I realize settings is sitting right there. But a lot of people don't know how to search on their iPhone. You type in a couple of letters like SE. There's settings, the gear in the top left-hand corner. You tap on that, and here we are in settings. So it would look like this. Your name at the top. So to get to the setting that we're looking for, you have to scroll down a little bit. So you have the first section, the second section with a little black border between them. You have the third section, and at the very bottom of that third section, just above where it says App Store, just above the black blank area, it says Privacy. Okay? So you tap on Privacy, and then the second choice from the top says Tracking. That's where we want to go. Tracking. I told it not to disturb me. Okay, so now we're in Tracking. So this is a little confusing. So right now, the option to allow apps to request to track you is turned off. So what that means is that nobody will ask you, and that also means that nobody will get permission to track you because they didn't ask you and you didn't give their permission. So that's just a across the board refusal by you to be tracked by any apps that are following the rules. We're not saying everybody's following the rules, but Apple will certainly be enforcing these rules. So in general, they should be following the rules. So your other option is, if you turn on the little switch here, then they are allowed to ask you app by app. So every time you bring up an app for the first time after you install iOS 14.5.1, you will get that message about whether you want to allow it or not to allow it. So now down below here, you see we have some apps that have separate switches. And I'm assuming that this list is going to grow. So you can tell these apps it's okay for you to be tracked. Now, the only app here that I would think you might want to be tracked is the bottom one, which is a weather app. However, when I checked this out without turning on the switch, it still gave me my weather information where I am. So it may be that it just saves that information. So, okay, Phil has a comment here. Let's see what Phil has to say. So they say it's better to provide you with ads about things you like. So yeah, sure, that's what they say. They say that we can customize the ads so that you just get things that you like. But guess what? You're going to get things that you may not like. So that's their way of trying to con you to allow them to track you. So that's a good point, Phil. Thank you. So, again, just to review, when you don't turn on the little switch in the settings, then you won't see this message at all and you won't be tracked universally across all of your apps. So if an app doesn't ask you for permission, that inherently means it legally cannot track your out-of-app activity, so you don't need to worry that you missed your chance to protect your data. So hopefully we've said that several different ways. That is clear. So again, to review how you set that up, you go to Settings, then Privacy, Tracking, and then you can allow apps to request to track off, which means no apps will track you. And then you can turn off and no pop-up should, or keep that off, and no pop-up should appear. So what can you do? Well, the best thing to do is to stay inside of Apple's systems. That means use Safari as your browser and set up DuckDuckGo as your search engine. In other words, do we need to say it? Stay away from Google, because Google is a multi-billion-dollar company because it's selling your information. So if you can stay away from Google apps, especially on your iOS devices, your iPhone in particular, then you will save yourself from getting targeted. And again, of course, they do have a lot of data already. So Facebook and Google are definitely ones you don't want to access on your iPhone. Accessing it on your Mac at home, your home, they know your home. They know where your home is already. So that's okay. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. Stick with Apple. Apple has your privacy at heart, unlike most of the other big tech companies. So here's an interesting little quote. The surveillance economy is pervasive in ways that are unknown to nearly everyone. and it's designed to stay unknown. And the tech companies most responsible are doubling down by encouraging ecosystems that give users less control, less understanding of how and what's being recorded about them, and less power over their own lives. This is from Pete Snyder, who is a senior privacy researcher at Brave Software. Now, you may not be aware of Brave. They make a security browser. So Safari is a browser, Google Chrome's a browser, and Brave is also a browser. So that's something you could also use. But again, Safari is, in my opinion, a better choice because it integrates better with all your Apple devices. So, Susan says, what about OS? I don't use my iPhone or my iPad to go shopping. So I think we covered that, Susan. You're better off on your Mac using Safari, and so that's good. They're still trying to track you there, but Safari has a lot of built-in anti-tracking features. So, while we wait for questions, if you have any other questions, I'm asking a question. Who has already updated to iOS 14.5.1? So they came out with iOS 14.5, and then they found a vulnerability that was in the wild, which means hackers were utilizing it to compromise people. And so that's why they brought out the 14.5.1 to fix that vulnerability. So hopefully you have updated to iOS 14.5.1. We want you to wait for a while to make sure there's no bugs, but the security considerations this time kind of outdid the necessity to wait for any problems. And I have been running it for the last several days. I haven't seen any real problems. So Shirley would like to know if I can comment on some email addresses are automatically tracked while others are considering to be more safe. So Shirley, I think that may be old information. Now, Gmail addresses and Gmail content at one time was being tracked, and Google was looking through your email to, again, find information that they could use to target you and sell your information to other advertisers. However, Google has promised that they're not doing that anymore. So I think that may be where that came from. So Chris would like to know more about DuckDuckGo. So let's talk about DuckDuckGo, shall we? So we switch over to Safari. So here we are in Safari. Now, if I do a search here, so we're going to search for mail, and I'm waiting for, okay, so there we go. So hopefully you can see in the very top there, I put in a search term, and Safari confirmed that I'm using DuckDuckGo as my search engine. So Safari is the browser, DuckDuckGo is the search engine. How do you set up DuckDuckGo as your search engine, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. You go to Safari in the upper left-hand corner. Left-hand corner. And you go to Preferences. And along the top here, you go to search. You see the little magnifying glass right under general, search. And you go to where it says search engine, the first choice. You have the up and down arrows and the blue background. You click on that, and those are the search engines you can choose as your default. And obviously the one with the check mark is the default, which is DuckDuckGo. Okay, so that's how you do it on Safari. And then you close come on, select. Okay, now if we go to the DuckDuckGo website, this is interesting. We're going to kill two birds with one stone. Oh, I see. That was my search to get my graphic, so that's not really what I wanted to do here. Okay, a little trade secret there, duckduckgo.com. That's what we want. So here's DuckDuckGo. So if you go to DuckDuckGo, they will tell you all about that. In fact, they will tell you how to add it to Safari right here. So that is how you do it to Safari. And let's see what other questions we have before I go on. So let's see, we got Shirley, okay, Shirley is not updated yet because she hasn't updated yet. And Chris is on the, are you on the public beta, Chris, or the developer beta? So if you want to be on the bleeding edge of technology and hopefully have a device that's not critical to your life or your work, you can be on a beta, public, or developer. So Susan says thus far she's been unimpressed with the ads that she gets on her MacBook, even the ones from Amazon. So Amazon's kind of a different story. Amazon does their own thing, and at the moment, I don't know any way that Amazon can be blocked from tracking you. So if any of you have discovered that, please let me know and we'll talk about it so that everybody can know. So yeah, Amazon definitely shows you things that are similar to things they've searched for or you've bought. And Diana mentions that, so supposedly, Diana, it is only things that you like that they're going to show you as ads on the right-hand side of your web browsing. But Safari, again, will block you from even going to websites where there's too many ad trackers. So you'll get a message in Safari saying, I cannot go there, or I won't go there, I won't take you there, because there's too many tracking sites involved in the process. So good. So Stanley updated, and he has had no problem. So I think it's pretty stable, especially when they do a .1 update right away. So anybody wondering how you might do DuckDuckGo in, or on, I should say, on your iPhone? That's my questioning look. Well, while I'm waiting for you to say yes, we're going to go just do it. So we're already in, oops, we have to start over here. So we're already in settings. So in settings, we go to Safari. So we have to go tap on settings in the upper left-hand corner to get out of the privacy section. And so Chris apparently wants to know about this stuff. Okay, so now we're in settings. So again, just to get your orientation, we're in the first settings screen, which you can tell by seeing your name at the top. So as we scroll down, we look for Safari. So there in the center of the screen between FaceTime and News is Safari. So we click on Safari, And you can see down there under search, there kind of in the middle, it says search engine. So you simply tap on that. Again, we get the same 5 choices that we got in Safari on the Mac. And I have checked DuckDuckGo, and that is how you get DuckDuckGo to be your search engine in Safari. So, what else have we got going here? So Diana says they keep asking me to use DuckDuckGo. Well, go ahead. Just say yes. And now you know how. Because it won't track you. So it's a good idea to go to DuckDuckGo. So keep those questions coming in. Let's take care of a little business here. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button, which is right down below here. And if you hit the little bell, it'll give you a notification when we go live. So, excellent question, Susan. So I've been using DuckDuckGo for, I would think, 4 or 5, maybe more years. And I can count on one of these hands the number of times that I thought there should have been a response in DuckDuckGo that I didn't find. So on those rare occasions, you can go to a different browser. My first choice is to go to Firefox. And my last choice would be to go to Google. So DuckDuckGo works very well, and I search a lot of things all day long. And I am rarely disappointed. So I think you can pretty much rely on DuckDuckGo for all your searching needs. So that's a good question. Okay, well, as always, have mask, will travel. So we are making in-person. Oh, the FedEx truck is here. I get to eat now. We are making in-person visits, and we are also doing screen sharing visits, either by using the built-in screen sharing, which is cleverly hidden in messages, or when that doesn't work, which happens, we do Zoom, so that you share your screen and I can point out what can be done. So, if you have any questions, please call me or email me at the number on the slide coming to you now. So, thanks, Chris. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you next Tuesday at high noon.